Hola! ¿Qué pasa, calabaza? Okay, we're doing something new here for the Literati for the next, our current book, or one we just finished up, called The House of Broken Angels by Luis Alberto Urrea. And there's a show called Hot Takes, I believe, that does spicy foods while they interview celebrities. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but I do have spicy food. Let me start with the book so I don't wheeze. So, in the book, there's a lot of nicknames that they talk about, like pato, which is duck, and it's so true. A lot of a lot of Mexicans, families and friends, they don't necessarily use their first name. A lot of them have nicknames. Some of them are really obscure and have nothing to do with nothing. And they're known from little kids all the way up to adulthood. And the people, even their family members, don't even know their real names anymore. It's always, Titi. They talk about dialect in the book. It's okay right now. And, like, wait for wait. Try to feel it. And, it's very common. It's all the things they said, the SHs and the CHs especially, and the Mexican and Spanish. I grew up with it. And so instead of chips and dip, it's sheeps. Instead of shoes, it's choose. And there's all these little nuances that they change, or the best of their ability. They speak it to the best of their ability. But anyway, so that's true to life. Okay, that's true to life. They mention about ancestors and kind of like ghosts or hauntings. And despite being heavily Catholic, a lot of that still plays, like Dia de los Muertos, which is very indicative to talk about the ancestors. And, Nana Juanita was here, who has since passed, or the other relatives who have passed. They're like, oh, they're there, and they talk to them like any day. It tends to be more prevalent as they get older, but it doesn't matter. Okay. But anyway, maybe not by the end of this video. I may see my own ancestors at this point. I'll do the Maz. Okay. Alrighty then. Moving on to the next section. I talk about Mexican time and how it's very like a suggestion. It's not really, there's no hard time. Time is a construct. So they have, their biggest meal is lunch. Lonche and pocho. The biggest meal is lunch. And so people get there when they get there, and they leave when they leave. However, there seems to be an unwritten rule. Okay, that's enough of that. Unwritten rule about greetings is a very polite society. They may be loud and colorful. Okay, I'm trying to breathe through those rays. You always greet every single person, one by one by one. If there's 400 people, which is a small family gathering, fíjate. So, also when you leave a family gathering, it's all that in reverse. It's very rude to just walk out to be like, bye, see ya, to the room and just head out. I'm trying to wait till I can feel my tongue before I take another bite. Okay. So still the feeling of machismo. I'm getting a little tear feeling of machismo in the culture, which means basically like patriarchal culture. It's a very male dominated. Sinus is clearing up. Male dominated society. So anything that's related to the feminine is frowned upon. So crying is a big one. Nobody cries. Nobody cries. Better to be angry or throw stuff like I did in the book when it is to cry. You're taught as a young kid to be like, no llores, don't cry. Usually you're not asked why you're crying. Usually it's just instructed to stop crying. Okay. People who eat this están locos. Alright. Every Mexican family that I am aware of has revolutionary stories. When I know the Americans are like, woohoo! Different revolution. The Mexican Revolution was later. And my family, my mom's side of the family, they have the revolutionary story. So my mom's father, Tata, is which is grandpa, I guess, in Espanol. His side of the family was the revolution happened, and it was the French-Mexican Revolution, and there was a French soldier who was wounded by the creek, and a Mexican girl went down to the creek to get water for her family and found the soldier, and she brought him back and nursed him back to health, and I ended up getting married and having kids. My Nana's side, I really don't want to do this one. This one scares me. This is the one from Ricardo's, specially made just to put hair on my chest. So, she always had. Anyways, my Nana's side of the family, she was an aristocrat. Oh my god. Okay. She was an aristocrat. She grew up in a big hacienda. She had servants and what have you. Wow. And the revolutionaries came with, what's his face? Pancho Villa came in and they raided the place. And the big story in the outside of the family is they took all of the family members out. And had them on their knees in front of them, asking about the house, possessions in the house, because my Nana's father had guns from the conquistadors from Spain. Pardon me here. Okay, one extreme to the other. Oh my god, that's horchata. Super sweet. That is hellfire. I don't know what. That hurts. Okay. Guns, family, guns. Okay, yeah, so everybody was there. My Nana, it was a little girl, she was a toddler, and her older sister, and her mother, and her father was there, and the revolutionaries had them at gunpoint and asked them, because, again, it's polite society, they asked him, can we have the guns from the conquistadors that's in your office? And he's like, no, I'll die on my knees, right? So he would put up a fight. And my great-grandmother basically smacked him and told the revolutionaries, don't listen to him, he's crazy, he said, just take the gun, spare my family's life. Because the idea was they were going to shoot him anyways. They were going to shoot him, take the gun anyway. It was just polite to ask. And so, because they were literally at gunpoint, they were going to shoot them. So my great-grandmother saved the family, but they are now in ruins and destitute. And all that. Riches to rags story. But a lot of people I know, and a lot of Mexicanos I know, have some story like that in their past. So, and it's only like a generation or two. We're not talking about like, oh, 7 generations ago. Like, no, it's like great-grandparent. Okay. A mess. Hold on, I'm trying to survive this. They talk about this in the film, in the book. They talk about this in the book. The book, I totally lost my train of thought. Oh my god. Ay, Dios mío. Okay. That there are no, they're very proud people, and they don't take charity. They don't take charity, so we never call it, so if we ever give people things that are not as well off as we are, we call it gifts. So growing up, my mom and I would take gifts al otro lado. I'm just checking to make sure my lengua still there, because I can't feel anything. So, anyways, it's gifts and not charity. It's not like, here, let me give you something. Let me get you something. About that in the book. They're very proud people. The other, the last thing they talk about is bartering. This is such a great story. Well, bartering is still done a lot between, I might have one more bite because I'm doing it for you, but bartering, so they'll barter like, a bag of tortillas for a house, and that's totally acceptable and totally okay, and it's common, maybe not that specific transaction, okay, but the story, I'm sorry, I'm the hot in here. Okay, let me. And the last thing is discipline. And the discipline is the chancla, which is the slipper. And it's used more often than the belt. But the belts are used. And a fly swatter and the spoon, the cuchara. They're very into spanking culture. That's slowly changing. Slowly changing. But it's still that way. I'm going to talk about that in this book here a lot. So all these things that I mentioned are aspects of the book that I resonated with. There is a lot of Mexican words in there, that Spanish words. I think we're going to cut this video. Because my sinuses are leaking. Holy cow. If you like spicy food, I recommend. Well, this was a really good book. It was really lighthearted and funny, and despite the morbid premise. The next book is The Slave Stealer. And despite the topic, it's just waves. Just waves of heat. Despite the topic, it has to do with child trafficking. Then and now. He'll talk about the Underground Railroad and using the techniques that worked for that, and to apply it to this one over here, to the present day slavery of children around the world. And it's not really graphic, so I can just go about my day without having to getting it too heavy. So thank you for watching me try to remain upright during this process, and I bid you adios.